Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All things Middle Earth here. I'm gonna make this as short and sweet as I can. The update is live as of last night, but I was going to bed, so I didn't get it out yet. But you should log in and not only have these 8 respect refund vouchers for these 8 commanders. If you had them, if you didn't have them unlocked, you wouldn't have certain ones of them. And you're gonna get 4 Elven Craftsman's hammers, which is huge. And before we move on to the video, I just want to say shout out to NetEase. Yes, give them a shout out if you guys are listening. This is the kind of stuff, this is the stuff we want to happen when changes are made in the game. If we've invested and something changes that in the value of the investment, getting this is nice. Now, I know people have mentioned we should have this for X, Y, and Z for past things. And you know, we only get 4 or whatever. I get it. There's always room for improvement. But we have never gotten something like this before where we were able to refund fully. If you use these vouchers, it will take them to R0. It will only not refund their tavern tip respect. So it'll take them from whatever you have them at to R0 and give you all these items in a season 1 custom gift chest. Now I will say a note on the season 1 chest as well. I get it. If you want someone like Bayon or Bard, you want to refund your Gladriel and get a newer commander, you're just not going to be able to. And yes, would it be cool if that wasn't a restriction? Yes. But would it also suck a lot more if we didn't get this at all? Yes. So I'm just in the boat. Like maybe the bar is low for me, but I'm in the boat that just says this is a brand new thing. And I want NetEase to know that we as a community are in support of this kind of stuff when changes are made that affect our accounts and how we've built them. So that like I wanted to start there, make sure it's very clear. And just again, like I get it that there's always more we want, but as you're thinking those things, we only got 4, or oh, I wish you could use it for what, it would be worse if we didn't get it at all, which has kind of been the case in the past. So like this is a huge step up. So let's step here together and then we'll work on the finer details of that. That's my spiel. I'm very happy about this. So NetEase, if there are changes in the future, this kind of stuff would be very well received, and it is very well received. Now, in terms of who you should refund, in my humble opinion, I think you should refund every single commander that you possibly can, even if you still want to use them, unless you're in season and you know you want to use whoever it is, maybe a Gladriel as a focus damage with now some like high-end respect, like healing possibilities, whatever it is. There could be some options for sure. But in my mind, unless you are in season and need to keep them at a certain level, there is no reason to not break these down because you have 2 weeks. There's no reason to not break these down now and see kind of how the dust settles. And if there's anything that kind of comes forward with the new healing updates, or maybe it just stays damage, whatever it is. So for me, I'm going to go through and I'm going to just click OK. You scroll down that, you click OK, you do this, and it returns it. And it's just going to go through and do that for all of them, where you can get, again, we got this whole thing here. Also, if you had their relic, it's going to uncraft the relic. So depending on if you had a relic for these commanders, which in my opinion, none of the commanders here have a relic really worth having. So if you did, congratulations. I think you can get that back, and that's a very good thing. So I'm going through here, swipe up, hit OK. Let's make sure you read all that. And again, at the end of the day, I'm going to have whatever. I got 164 now. So I'm going to keep going through and break all these down. And then we're going to look at who I think are good candidates for investment that aren't these characters right here. All right, so we've got everything broken down here. Again, I have around 330 purple chests. I've got 63 gold. I've got like 70 blue. What, again, your numbers could be totally different. You could have more, you could have less. That's not the point. The point is you need to figure out what to do with these. First of all, option A is to do nothing with them because they do not expire. So you can sit on these for a little while to see how things shuffle out with the new healing updates, with just whatever metas we keep finding or figuring out, although I think it's pretty solidified. But the safe option that will not have any negative impact because they will not go away is to wait a little bit and see if there's something that becomes very clear for you to invest in. The second option, if you are looking to invest in something, I will link this down in the description, which, by the way, in the description down below is the @me top up link. If you use that, you support the channel, and depending on where you're at in the world, you can actually save money. Again, you save money with, again, you're not using Apple tax. You save money if you're in different parts of the world, like in the EU. So check out the top up link if you haven't used it yet. It is, once you get it set up, it's very easy and quick to use, and you can save money. I don't know what to tell you. You should be using it. Anyway, this is our damage commander tier list, which will be linked down in the description below. And damage has always been very consistent. Damage is kind of the tried and true king right now. And if for those wondering if damage is changing, I don't think so. They've not said that. And they've kind of shown if they're going to change something very fundamentally, they're going to make that right and refund that. So I now have an expectation, NetEase, I hope you don't prove me wrong, that if there was a major change, we would be compensated for that, just like we were for these commanders right here. So these are the damage commanders, and you're probably going to have the most tier 2 chests potentially in your account. So I would be looking at the tier 2 commanders, which are going to be the Shadow, Lurtz, Gimli. You could also look at tier 2 Aragorn. Éomer is less valuable now. I think he's still a good damage commander on his own, but a lot of people had him built up because of the mounted combo, and he definitely could do damage and fit into that. So he's not one I would reinvest in personally. Then we have some other options. Again, I think they get less amazing as we go. We do have some tier 1 options. If you have a lot of tier 1 respect, if you had someone Hirgon or Dwalin, they can still put out okay damage as a damage commander in the right armies. But I'd be looking at this, and I'd be picking really out of these 3, the Shadow, Lurtz, and Gimli, and I'd be pumping into those to get them up and going if you don't have them, or get them at a more usable level, because all of them can use very high respect and still be very effective. So I'd be looking at this first and see what you can use on this list and invest in those commanders. Next up, this is our support tier list, and this is going to change because someone like Azure Core is not going to be on here moving forward because of the adjustments. Now, as far as support, I feel like there's a little bit less options for the tier 2. The biggest one, or the easiest one, is going to be Gandalf the Grey. If you don't have him, he has White Council, which is one of the big reasons that Gandalf the White is in the Balrog tier with only 2 other commanders. So having the White Council by itself makes Gandalf the Grey very good as a support. If you don't have him, you should get yourself at least a Gandalf the Grey that can use White Council. I think that's respect 3. That would be a huge bump in your armies if you're not using a support commander. The other options that are support are Falcon, who with a lot of commander defense and his respect 5 title, he can really buff the army defense and mitigate damage coming in, all that kind of stuff. So Falcon can be an option, not one I'm as familiar with. I'm trying him this season, but I've seen very, very promising things. Then Frodo and Sam actually can be support as well with the right troops. If you're using Swan Knights, if you're playing Kings of Men, they do reduce damage with their Master of Bag End ability. So a low respect Frodo and Sam can really reduce damage that Swan Knights take. And again, with a set especially, you could really make Swan Knights very, very tanky annoying in the early rounds. So they could be an option if you're really trying to figure out who makes sense, but they are a little bit more situational. But these are some support options. And last but not least, I want to pull up the overall tier list and show you guys. This will be down below as well. And again, adjustments will be made to this. So if a commander is on here and you got their respect refunded, just maybe use your noggin that they're probably going to move down on the list. And I'll try and update this before I put it out. But some of these mounted commanders who are in B, like Theoden, like Éomer, like Imrahil, Denethor, those guys, they were up there because of what they did before, and it's not going to be the same. So don't reinvest in those ones, please. But this shows you the bigger picture of who we have, because if you're waiting and you don't want to use your vouchers right away, you could always look and kind of see how things develop. So Arwen, for example, is in the C tier, and she's been adjusted with the healing. Now, I have not personally seen any like significant amount of reports yet to see how the healing is modified or how well it modifies, so it may not be a factor. But there are commanders who have healing who could now be more options once we get into it. So if you want to wait and see how some of those play out, or maybe mid-tier, or again, someone like Galadriel, high respect, could end up moving up on the list. Someone like Gandalf the Grey with his heal being modified now could move up on the list. So some of these options could get better with the update. They could stay the same too. I'm not saying they will, but just something to think about. If you want to check out the overall list to kind of think about your future options, you can do that as well. But all this will be linked down in the description below. You guys can kind of go through it and make sure that you're making an informed decision with your respect. Because again, if you're like me, this stuff goes fast. You don't want to waste it. So use it wisely. Again, shout out to NetEase. I think this is a very good thing. I'm very happy with it. I wish this had been a norm forever, because yes, there are situations and there are still things that don't make sense to me. Like, for example, not to beat the dead horse, but you know, we changed all the race restrictions on gear after players like myself got rid of gear in uniques because we couldn't use it. So I don't know why we didn't get a more of a one-time undo for relics, and why they've really doubled down on keeping those. So there are still a lot of things I would like to see, but this step forward is huge. I'm very happy about it. So let me know what you guys think about this update. Who are you investing in? Comment that down below. And as always, I'll see you guys in a future video.